this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for Sunday, May 15th. And today we have pretty much the same energy that we had yesterday, right? We have Mercury still quincunxing Saturn. We have Jupiter in Virgo squaring off with Saturn, squaring off with Mars in a negative vibration. We have this beautiful, harmonious flow of energy. We have the Sun conjunct with Venus, conjunct with Mercury. We have we have a trine that's being uplifted by, moving us away from cycles that no longer serve us, ending karmic cycles, the realizations that we're having, the awakening, the ability to align, what we deeply desire and hope with actual something that we can tangibly produce. So we choose energy. And I lectured about this yesterday, and I'll lecture about it again today. I cannot reinforce enough that when the energies stick around for a few days, some of these are sticking around all month, it's reinforcing this lesson, I think, on an elevated level. So with Mercury and Saturn quincunxing each other, the past is heavy. The past is a place where we probably didn't have control over something. The past is a place where we did not value either somebody, or they didn't value us, or we were not understood. And there's a desire now to be understood, to take control of these areas in your life where perhaps you lost power, you were not able to maintain power. There was a cycle involved in that part of your life. When we're caught in this reflective cycle, one of the things that we do is recall all of the lessons that we've learned. And that's a very heavy energy, especially if some of us were in habitual patterns that we have been ingrained for some time. And let's say they go back to childhood, and perhaps you are now having regret, guilt, remorse is possible when we have retrograde energy, especially when Pluto's in retrograde. That's when, and Neptune is releasing you, if you're caught in a harmonious flow of energy, and forgiving you, and asking you to forgive yourself and to have compassion for that time period in your life. If some of you were just dicks, right? You were horrible people. You did everything wrong. You were self-indulgent. You were narcissistic. And there's a realization right now that I don't want to be that human anymore. There's the recollection at this point of just how many people I hurt. Just what I did with my life that I should not have done. Flip side, for some of you, what you could be recalling is the fact that you are the common denominator in these habitual patterns. So you can blame, in the past you may have been able to blame yourself, but the recollection, the realization, the awakening, Uranus and Aries squaring off with Saturn, what's being awakened is that you are entirely in control of the way that you individuate yourself from programming. You know what? You are. I don't care if it's programming from a 5-year relationship, it's programming from a year relationship, a programming from when you lost everything when Pluto just went down. I know, right? I'm going to tell you something terrible about myself. It's horrible. I have a fear of being a passenger in a car. I need to be the driver of the car. I need to be in control of the car. And I'm going to tell you why. I had a horrific car accident that I almost died in. Spent 3 weeks. I think I was in, 1 week in ICU, 3 weeks in critical. And I lived through it. And it really didn't impact me because I had, I didn't know I had a problem being a passenger, because at this time in my life, I was always the driver of my car because I've been single for an eternity. I've been single forever. I've been in and out of relationships, but I've pretty much been the one who drives my car. Now, in my life, I had to teach my kids to drive a car, and then now I'm, having a social life. And one of the things I'm noticing is I cannot freaking stand for somebody else to drive the car because I have a fear associated with a brake light. If I see a brake light, I'm a mess. I feel trauma. I relive. That's another thing. Not only do you recall your significant PTSD experiences, you relive these experiences in some bizarre way. For some of you, this could be what could be surfacing right now is just these bizarre ways that you react. That's another thing that can come out of reflective cycles is the ability to see to understand why you react the way that you react to things. The realization is that if I were to trace back my weird problem, every time I see a brake light, the only time I can think about why this would be significant now is because back then, that was the last thing I remember before I went unconscious. So I see a brake light and I'm like, and so I am having to face this fear. And I'm telling you right now, it's daily. It's like almost daily right now for me to do it because, I'm allowing somebody to drive me around. And it's so hard. Like I hate it. I hate I'm this way, right? I hate I have this weakness. I'm pissed and I don't want it. But when I get out there, I respond, I react unconsciously, daily, all the time. But when I'm the weirdest part is when I'm driving my car, brake lights, F you, I don't care. I'm in and out weaving. I'm a very defensive driver. I'm conservative when I drive, but I can deal with a brake light. It's just when somebody else has control and I can't control it. I'm not saying that's awesome. It sucks for people who are with me. Ask my kids when I was trying to teach them to drive a car. I drove them crazy. I'm like, back off. You're too close. We could be 3 car lengths behind. I'm like, I'm too close because I could not deal. And I really, really work on it. I really don't want to be that person anymore. So I want you to understand that what you're going through, the revelation between the self that you're trying to develop and the self that has these automated generated responses that seem somewhat out of your control is all part of the process. 5 planets in retrograde is part of this retrograde process. You get to have this. Do not escape what's being shown to you right now. Face it, acknowledge it. It's painful, it's exhausting. Guess what? You sleep more. You just don't feel like you have the energy. Some of you are feeling a little bit, I'm not saying a little bit, some of you are experiencing an imbalance because there's just the sense of self, the old sense of self and the new sense of self that is just, So here's what I say. When you get to the point to where you're losing your Lulu lid, like we all are, at some point, I think everybody at some point has had something happen to them that has made them recall or relive or revisit a situation that did not feel probably ideal at that point in their life or even now. I say that we respect that we learned that lesson. We recall it and we look at it as we open ourselves and broaden our perspective. We look at it as like, we're rigid here, and through this recollection process, this retrograde process, the energy is going, ooh, I'm going to force this here, and I'm going to force it there, and you're resisting. You're like, ooh, F you, I'm going to put it here, and the universe is like, nope, pretty much it's going right here, whether you want to or freaking not, and so what you need to do is allow these resistant processes to happen and forgive each revelation that opens you up. Because as you get here and here and here, you become here. You're here. You're not here. You're here. The new sense of self. The conscious self. The aware self. The self that makes decisions based on lessons learned. But there's a resistance cycle we're going to go through, honey. That's all. And I believe as these planets start to go direct, All these planets turn this energy going in a forward motion. Each one of these energy sources have something significant to say. They would not all be in a retrograde cycle if they did not want us to have this moment of clarity, this opposition, this recollection process that is so ingrained in the past that it's breaking you free from ingrained behaviors that are repetitive, that no longer serve you. Full moon in Sagittarius coming up to help you broaden your perspective, to open you up, to make you not here, maybe here, or maybe even here for some of you. It's not. Okay, so say you're like, oh, that's a good theory, Annette. You're full of it. It would be great to be here, but, I'm freaking here and it hurts. Okay. So you attach to the Earth Trine and you are determined and you focus and you do not relent. You are determined that you are going to attach to the Earth Trine that's going on. And the way to do that, I'm going to be honest with you. The way to do that is for you to attach to Earth energy any way you can, because that's longevity, that's grounding, that's where the energy is the most positive right now. Take a walk, listen to nature sounds. I don't care if you have no way to get out of a building and you can listen to headphones at work, put on nature sounds. Birds, water. I have this lovely campfire thing I do where it looks like I'm out in nature camping. When I have to be home getting ready for work, in between shooting videos, editing, I want to be out there. I can't. I'll stick that on to keep my energy going in the direction I want it to go in. I cannot submit to this BS that the energy is it wants to suck me into regret and remorse and guilt. F that. F it. I'm too wise, too broad, too open. I get the big picture. There's more that needs to be revealed, but it doesn't feel ideal all the time. Anyhow, guys, I love you. Don't let this retrograde cycle retrograde your ass. It did me. I'm not going to lie, but you know what? I'm determined. I cannot stop. Detail. You know what? If you really can't even do any of what I suggested, get lost in the details. And that will attach you to Jupiter. Jupiter's at the top of this Grand Trine, being uplifted by this harmonious flow of energy. Start running all your errands. Start cleaning out things. Start all the details that you don't like to deal with. Just hone in on a couple details a day. Stay in the high form. I promise you. Anyhow, guys, thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner. I love you deeply.